Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, the River Thames, the Houses of Parliament, the London Eye, St Paul's Cathedral, Tower Bridge, and Hyde Park. But forget all that, only one thing matters around here: football.
Every week there's a local derby. So
Fucking 8 Millwall. We won the league at Shite Hart Lane.
we've got 13 professional football teams. You've got the top of the tree, and you go right to the other end. It makes up the rich tapestry of London football.
London is the undisputed football capital of the world, with more professional clubs than any other city in the world. This is my 4-part series exploring the beautiful game at the home of football. The cosmopolitan and trendy north of London is home to Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur and Barnet. In the gritty, poorer east reside West Ham United and Leyton Orient. South of the River Thames, it's more residential and culturally contrasting, and it's home to Millwall, Charlton Athletic, Crystal Palace and AFC Wimbledon. In posher, more sophisticated surroundings in the west live Chelsea, Queen's Park Rangers, Brentford and Fulham. Any football fan that hasn't seen football played in London hasn't lived.
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London so.
North London, an area defined predominantly by the North London derby, contested between the giants of Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. But if history had been a little different, this would only be a London derby as opposed to the marquee fixture of North London.
We regard Arsenal as interlopers. They came from Woolwich. They're a South London club. They're not a North London club even, really.
We still call them on our podcast the Woolwich Wanderers. That's what we call them. We don't call them by their real name. So we don't see it as a North London thing.
They should stay over in South London, where they belong.
In 1886, workers from a factory in Woolwich decided to form a football team. They would be Woolwich Arsenal and were based in South East London. Attendances were poor and workers were in financial struggles in the area. So in 1913, the Arsenal upped sticks and moved north, 6.2 kilometres away from Tottenham Hotspur, forging one of the country's biggest rivalries. But most people forget there are actually 3 teams in North London. Barnet FC, the forgotten club. Barnet Football Club, formed a very long time ago. Home ground, the Hive. Capacity, 6,205. Major honours? Best not to ask. Best ever player? Edgar Davids. That's pretty cool. The Bees didn't even make it into the Football League pyramid until 1991. Their old stadium, Underhill, you could see Highbury and the Emirates. Their new home, the Hive Stadium, as of 2013, you can see the Arch of Wembley from this main stand. So close to greatness, yet so far.
People say little old Barnet, no real national success. Let me introduce you to this fella, Mr. Bumble. The famous Mr. Bumble.
Okay.
Successful at 2 mascot Grand Nationals, clearing the field in his wake. Banned.
Well done, sir.
Banned, because we were just too good. The quality of football might not be the best, but you're closer to it. I think it's being the underdogs is a real big charm. We're surrounded by a lot of Premier League neighbours, very close by. The majority of our support base is made up of supporters who primarily support Arsenal, Spurs, as your Watfords, but might have become disenchanted by the way the Premier League's going and come down to a level where week in, week out, the players give their all and you can have a drink with them after the game in the bar, and I think that is the charm.
Listen, we're based where we are and they're our big neighbours, but there's enough room for all of us.
Barnet FC provides peace and harmony amongst the hatred of the North London derby. Arsenal and Tottenham fans can often be found here at the Hive together. A parallel universe where charmingly football overshadows rivalry.
We had an FA Cup game earlier this season on a Sunday. It was moved to a Sunday for television broadcasting. on the exact same time, kicking off 5 minutes before us, was Arsenal versus Tottenham. And I think we were playing Stockport that day, and Stockport brought more fans than us because the easy option is to sit on your sofa and to watch the North London derby, because the majority of our fans are made up of that.
Wouldn't it be kind of nice if Arsenal and Tottenham buggered off?
That would be nice. I'm not sure they've got any plans to do that anytime soon, especially with Spurs building a new stadium a little bit further away. I think it's geographically about 10 metres further away from where we are now. But I think we're just going to have to settle for our bigger brothers being in the nearby area.
A few shared jokes amongst Arsenal and Tottenham fans doesn't tell the full story. Remember, this is London. Remember, this is football. Remember, this is more than a game. The most hostile football rivalries are often defined by politics or religion. Arsenal and Tottenham merely hate each other just because they are there on each other's doorstep.
A rivalry that began in the 19th century, which intensified in the years immediately after the First World War, and which today means more than ever before.
Arsenal must beat Tottenham. Tottenham must beat Arsenal.
Well, think of the biggest thing you could ever imagine, and then double it. It's huge.
It's hardcore.
I absolutely hate them.
It's real hatred. There's no like, oh, let's meet you in the pub after the game. It really doesn't happen. There's a real animosity between the two sets of fans.
Arsenal fans, Tottenham fans, we're the same people, and yet you go to a North London derby, and that is proper. There is a kind of edge of malice about it that I think a lot of other derbies these days lack. I don't think, for strength of feeling, there's a bigger derby than the North London derby.
It's total there. Every time they lose, you can hear the cheer from White Hart Lane, and vice versa. It's always been that way.
We absolutely cannot stand the red team, so much so that I don't wear anything red. I never have in my life. I don't even wear lipstick that's red or paint my nails red.
It does mean more. It shouldn't mean more to the players because it's 3 points, but it does. And the players know that it's a great feeling if you can beat the local rivals. You know how much the supporters think of you.
I count on one hand Arsenal fans that I like, and they're guys who don't really go to the games. They're armchair fans, so I suffer them. Hello there. I'm picking up my tickets for the Arsenal home game. Is that it? Yeah, brilliant. Thanks ever so much. That's really kind.
A fixture which has always mattered completely.
There's no love lost between the clubs, really. I think as well because we're always more successful than them. 13 league titles to 2. I mean, it speaks for itself.
My next door neighbour's a Tottenham fan. He's a Tottenham season ticket holder, and you know we're always having a laugh and bantering and that. But when it comes down to next week, I don't really want to see him, and he probably don't really want to see me. You know what I mean? And we won't want to see each other until after that game, and then the hatred is real.
You remember the Arsenal games. You remember those games. You remember the wins. You remember the defeats more than any other club.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane!
We played Spurs in the League Cup semi-final. It was over 2 legs. Spurs beat Arsenal at Highbury 1-0. We went to White Hart Lane and we beat them on the night. David Rocastle scored the winner. Sorry, get a bit choked up. All-time hero, David Rocastle. And yeah, so it was a fantastic night. And I remember coming out of White Hart Lane and all you could see was a sea of red going down Tottenham High Road, and that was the greatest night.
Welcome wherever you are to this traditionally tumultuous territorial tussle in the north of the English capital.
Anyone unsure of the hatred and animosity in North London should probably ask a fella called Sol Campbell. We shouldn't say that too loud around here.
Can I mention the name Sol Campbell in here?
Well, you can mention Sol Campbell. It'd be probably a good idea to say it quietly, which you have. Yeah, I mean, Sol Campbell is history now. You know, he's a sad old man now.
He lied and said he was going to resign. Spurs didn't get any money out for the transfer thing. Like many players do now, he ran his contract down. It was the way it was done that upset so many Spurs fans.
And he said, oh, if you cut me, I'm blue and white. I bleed blue and white. I'll be signing a new contract. And he maintained this right to the end. And then suddenly you turn on your TV and there he is walking with Arsene Wenger. That's what I hate. That's what I hate. I hate the duplicity of the man.
He will still say he did it for his career, but what it showed to us is he didn't understand what it meant to play for Tottenham. He didn't understand what it meant to be Spurs captain. How can you be Spurs captain? I think it's okay to go to Arsenal. It became, you're dead to us.
I remember the day I heard he signed. I was working in a factory. I was in an office on the side of the factory, and they had the radio on in the factory. And I was just sitting there, and it come on the news. Big headlines, Spurs player signs for Arsenal. And I'm trying to... And then I heard people shouting and hollering abuse at the radio. And I was like, well, what's the matter? And he said, Sol Campbell signed for Arsenal. And I thought, brilliant, brilliant, what a coup.
Sol is a very strong-minded guy, and he knew why he made the move, and it worked.
A friend of mine phoned me and he said, oh, there's a press conference this morning. He said, but give us a call when it's over. I said, because we're working late. He said, OK, mate. And needless to say, he phoned me back and he said, yeah. He said, it was a player we signed. I said, yeah, Richard Wright. He went, no, Sol Campbell. Well, I said, no, don't behave. Don't wind me up. We got to be serious here. He went, no. He said, Wenger's walking with him at the training ground. I said, you're joking. He went, no, honestly. I said, boys, we stop work. That's it. End of job. Let's get down the pub. We'll celebrate. We took their captain, and yeah, we was by the end of the evening, well worse for wear. We was all drinking bottles of Sol. Another bottle of Sol, another bottle of Sol. It was yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
The champions Arsenal standing on the brink of the extraordinary, something unique in modern football, going through a whole season undefeated.
Could you ever imagine your bitterest, fiercest rivals coming to your own stadium and getting a result to become champions of England? Well, could you ever imagine it happening twice?
No matter where you are, if you are the champions, you are justified in celebrating what has been an astonishing season.
I've seen every single final. I've seen us win the league twice at White Hart Lane. 71, well, it's well documented. It was, if it was 0-0, we win the league. If it was 1-1, we lost the league. It was nip and tuck. And in the ground that night, there was more Arsenal fans than Tottenham. I've still got the match ticket, 10 and 6 on the Paxton Road end, and I was right behind where Ray Kennedy headed it in. And at the end of the game, in those days, everyone ran on the pitch. Yeah, it was unbelievable week.
We've won the league at White Hart Lane twice. We've won the league at Old Trafford. We've won the league at Anfield. I've been really, really lucky because I've seen some amazing things watching Arsenal.
I wasn't at the 71 game. My granddad was there, but I was at the second game, and I thought one of the funniest things was that they all celebrated when they equalised. But they didn't realise that we'd still won the league. Like, you know, and their players were going about as though they'd won the World Cup. We got kept in for a good hour after the game, and when we come out, the Spurs were still waiting for us, so, you know, they were happy as well.
I can't think of anything worse than my bitter rivals coming to my home and winning the English Championship. They've done it twice.
Well,
how does that make you feel?
They definitely did it. In 70-71 they did it. The other game they actually drew. Yes, they technically won it there, but they didn't beat us on our grounds. And look, that's it. That's football. You know, as I said before, it works in cycles. And please God, one day we'll do it at their ground.
Tottenham are the new masters of North London. Another tale of Derby daring do as the curtain comes down on White Hart Lane.
It's been a colourful lifespan for both Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. Spurs notoriously cup specialists and were the first British team to ever win a European trophy, but their successes have long been overshadowed by those of their red neighbours. Arsenal fans even have an annual celebration called St Totteringham's Day, which is the day of the year that Spurs can no longer mathematically catch Arsenal in the table. But the gulf in North London lately has closed.
This is Arsenal's manor, and Tottenham are on it.
I don't think it's been bridged. I think we've gone way past them. I think they're in our wake now, and that's incredible. It's just horrible living in the shadow of your neighbours, and they were way ahead of us for such a long time. I mean, for many years we didn't even beat them in a football match, you know. And now you look at the situation now, we're going to have the best ground in Europe, or certainly in this country, way better than theirs. We've got a team that is way better than theirs. We constantly outperform them. This is a Thursday night now. They've kicked off at 5:30 against some team called Bate, I've never heard of, in the Europa League. We're cruising towards the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We're in the Champions League every year, in the top 4 every year. We've got better players, we've got a better manager, we've got a better stadium, and we consistently finish above them and very often beat them. So I think we bridged the gap 2 or 3 years ago. I think we're now way ahead of them.
I think that Tottenham are getting better and better. They've got an incredibly popular manager, and when I say popular, not only with the supporters, I mean with the players. I think the players look as though they're desperate to play for him and desperate to learn from him. So Tottenham have definitely shortened that gap, and the way that Tottenham are going, that we're going to be better.
Spurs have got a great side, and that really hurts to say that. But you know, they have built a good side. But what I would say is we had 22 years when we finished above them, and that's not going to happen in reverse. They've had 2 or 3 good years. They might have another good year, but you'll never get to a situation where they go 22 years of beating the Arsenal.
If Spurs fans see it like that, then brilliant. You know, what they've done is they've got into the Champions League 2 or 3 times. Arsenal got absolutely mullered for getting into it 17 years straight. I don't know, what's best? What's best? Apparently being in the top 4 is not a trophy. That's what we got told year after year. I don't know, maybe now it's become a trophy. For me, trophies are, like I say, 3 FA Cups in 4 years.
Listen, they are a good side. There's no denying that, you know, but as I said, they still ain't won anything. Until they can show me some silverware, you know, it's just talk, innit?
I'm letting them have their moment, let them have their little 5 minutes. After being in our shadows for over 20 years, it's obvious that they're gonna, you know, feel a little bit happy and excited. But when you win trophies, then you can come back and talk about bridging the gap. When you finish above us for 20 years in a row, when you win the title here twice, then you can talk to us. But until then, nah, they're just having a little bit of a better moment than us. And you've got to remember, under our worst spell, when Arsene Wenger was coming to the end of his reign, we still won trophies. They were putting the pressure on.
One of English football's most enduring passion plays, the North London Derby.
Similar in stature, similar in hate. Not many places on this planet have 2 footballing giants so close to each other. North London, the most trophy-laden region of London's quartet, with little Barnet living peacefully on in their humble surroundings.